Hello, members of the human family. Today is the 5th of June 2024. Welcome to the General Durability Podcast. I am Ashman Wagdi in Mohammedia, Morocco, and my guest is Christian Müller, a German biodiversity expert, and he is with us to help us in our quest for knowledge, ultimately self-knowledge. Willkommen, Christian. Wie geht's dir?
Hi, thank you for the warm welcome in German. I have
Yeah.
learned that you speak excellent German.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Can you please tell us a bit about yourself and how it came to be that you engage with biodiversity and syntropic farming?
Mhm. Well, a little bit about myself. I'm a polymath, polyglot person, so I speak also a couple of languages, and I have lived already in different places on this beautiful planet. And I have also done a lot of different things in my life already. I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I have created, run, and consulted a lot of businesses during my 50 years of life. And something around the starting of the 2000s, I started being more interested in in agriculture and also in a way into nature itself, because I had felt that I had distanced myself a lot from nature in my adult years and in my professional life, mainly sitting in front of screens. So I started to get into the topic more, and I also moved back then from Germany to the Cape Verdean Islands in 2007 and lived there for nearly a decade.
Yeah.
And there I started to do my first baby steps in terms of soil, in terms of agriculture, farming, but on a on a really experimental and hobby level. I have too much respect for the profession of farming, of agriculture, to actually claim that I would be a farmer. I would have ever have done it,
Yeah.
but yes, and that brought me to well, it really started in the beginning with my fascination for terra preta, which I had learned about back
Yes.
then.
Yeah.
And then, well, I was very naive in the beginning and thinking that it would be nearly a matter of chemical components of the soil to actually get terra preta. And then that led me also to Masanobu Fukuoka, who is the godfather of natural farming, which is um, which is a way of Zen farming, a type of Buddhist farming, I would say, who worked already in the 60s and 70s of the last century. And with that, I also became more and more interested in permaculture. So I went into that, and I have not really been satisfied so much with permaculture. It felt a little bit incomplete to me. Although, of course, like also experimenting with principles and concepts from it, which was nice, and seeing also its utility in terms of a design framework, I was not so convinced in terms of big agriculture and the actual agriculture industry and what type of opportunities we would have to move from the destructive extractive uh, principle that we see nowadays in
Yeah.
farming towards a big scale regenerative agriculture. And I guess I was not even aware of the name regeneration back then. So it
Yes.
was of the term, so it's all relatively fresh back then. So, and I'm also, because I saw that I couldn't do a lot where I was at that point, I moved back to Europe, to the Western Iberian region, and so Mediterranean climate, and I felt also that would be better for me to work in. And I had learned shortly before, via a small docu. It's a 20-minute movie which is called Life in Syntropy.
Right.
And this movie features the work of Mr. Ernst Götsch, who is a Swiss-born researcher and farmer. and who has spent nearly 50 years in Brazil um, revolutionizing cocoa farming. So he bought a depleted plot of land, which was absolutely overgrazed. It was basically a desert when he bought it. People were laughing at him and said that he could never do what he wanted to do, especially cocoa. And he said, no, no, this earth will give us everything here. And he started. And well,
Courageous.
yeah, very courageous. He is anyways a bold guy, really a hero somehow, an iconic figure. And and then I learned that he would come to Europe. I went to meet him and to spend a couple of days. We had a workshop. We talked a lot, and we met also a lot of great people that were there. And yeah, that was kind of the foundation of what became RECELIO, the organization I'm working for, which I represent. So lots of people that have been there in Olot back then uh, are now friends of ours, or we work together with them, or they are parts of RECELIO.
Yeah.
And well, yeah, since then we have done a lot of things um, and involved in a lot of different areas. And we are on an ongoing quest of solving the biggest issues that we see that are keeping regenerative agriculture and especially syntropic farming from not being widely adapted. So,
Uh,
and that's where we're working on. And that's probably also why we speak today.
yeah, nice, nice. Read a little bit of your work and kind of wanted to interview you to go a little bit in deep. Yes, for me, I have a mechanistic background, so I am studying since I was in school. I have a school degree in mechanical engineering. Later studied mechanical engineering at the university in Morocco. Then moved to Germany, studied international civil engineering. Continued my studies in Denmark. So I'm mainly mechanistic, so I have nothing to do with nature, but I grown up on a swamp, a healthy swamp. This swamp is unfortunately dead. So when I came to Morocco in 2020, I've done a visit. I saw the swamp where I was raised is completely gone. There is there is no biodiversity. This almost a desert. But while I was growing up, there was hundreds of thousands of birds flying around, and it's crazy that it could happen so fast. And this is why I've stopped civil engineering and started studying different things, uh, including biodiversity. What it does biodiversity actually mean? Why is it important? Can you tell us? Can you define for me or for the viewers what do we mean by biodiversity?
Wow, this is like it's complex, very
Yeah.
complex, and a lot of
Yes.
people struggle also to understand what biodiversity really means. Um, well, let me explain it like that. Biodiversity is the library of life. Biodiversity is like if you imagine a library that has thousands of books and that
Yeah.
contains all knowledge of us, of humans, then biodiversity is that when it comes to life. Biodiversity is a fractal system, so it means it happens on all levels of life. So it happens on a universal level, it happens on a planetary level, and then it happens also in our human layer, and it happens, of course, also in the micro layer, like the soil, for example.
Yeah.
Um, so um, biodiversity, like I said, happens on different layers, which means that biodiversity means the diversity of landscapes, of different landscapes. It means also the diversity of different species. So like all types of different animals, mushrooms and plants that you
Yeah.
know. It means also the interspecies diversity. So there's not just one apple, there's a lot of different types of apples.
Yes. Yeah.
And within that, the genetic diversity, which is not so easy for people to understand. Um, a plant, um, when you look at it, you don't see really that it has genetic diversity. But what it means is that it is the result of often millions of years of evolutionary process. And all the learnings that have been done during that time are contained in those plants, especially in the seeds. So this plant might generally not know anything about a drought, but it is genetically equipped by information of its ancestors to handle this drought. And trees, for example, they produce also different types of seeds depending on how the conditions are. Yeah. So they give seeds certain properties that will help the offspring then to grow and to thrive. So and generally you can even say that our cultural diversity is a part of biodiversity. So us humans, or call it an intraspecies diversity, it's also very important that we have a big genetic pool, that we keep uh, genetically diverse, and I would say the same for culture as well. So it's very important. I mean, we have a global culture, which is also good
Well,
in a lot of
yes.
terms, but we need to keep, um, yeah, we need to protect and save the cultural heritage that we have as well. So
Yes.
that's a little bit like in a nutshell. Um, so when we lose biodiversity, then this has always collateral effects. It has always um, cascading effects, and and that again that happens on all type of levels, fractal levels. So when we lose a certain type of landscape, like let's say like polar zones, for
Yeah.
example, then that is a huge issue because we lose that diversity that makes us um, to be more exposed to any type of challenges that come then in the future. And that goes with species. We extinct at the moment, I think around 20 to 30 species of which we know per day as humans.
Boom.
So that's a lot of
That's too
species that we
much.
lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you see in genetic diversity, we are committing a huge mistake, as some of us have decided to genetically modify seeds and living beings, to patent them and to make profit with that,
Oh.
which brings us also to what I call stupid seeds, because these seeds don't contain this diversity anymore, this heritage, this genetic information anymore from the past. um, and yeah, that makes them very vulnerable. And that is also why then the exact same companies that actually commercialize and sell these GMO seeds also sell all the chemicals to support and to fight pests, etc. pp. Because again, those type of seeds are not really working.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's why biodiversity is really important. People don't understand, right? That is like, often people think like, yeah, but what do I care if like we have no polar bears anymore, or no pandas, or no whales, but each element of Earth, which to me is a macroorganism, it is a living being, has an inherent function and is important. Really, every little critter, every soil organism, every bacterium, everything is important. You are important, and everyone who's listening to this is also
Yeah.
important, because we have an ecosystem service function, and that is, so if we lose a species, then this has always effects, and it can affect us pretty fast. It can get nasty very fast, which you know, most people try to denial or to not see or to ignore or something.